not starting, you know. Let's put this guy on this thing. Let's put this on the Instagram. So if you guys want to see something different, or if you you know, if you have like questions or you want, that's the first time we're gonna use the airbrush with. So we're gonna use black. We're gonna use Stegadon scale green, maybe with white. I'm gonna use white. Use these three colors to get started. So let's try it without like nothing, just to see the sound, and then we can kind of go from there. Use these three colors right here. So matte black, Stegadon scale green, and if you have like Incubi Darkness or Dark Reaper, they will work not exactly the same, but good enough. And then we're gonna use matte white. You can't tell this is an old ass shit pot, but it's white. You see this is working fine. One more. Like this would do great, but because this is a base coat. Alright, so what we want to do now is just basically redo our primer, because it was not great. You know, like you can still see the plastic, and we don't want that. You can see it here, like in the shoulder plate. It did that little spidering thing. That's really not great. You can see when it starts to like push the paint around. That's called spidering. When you do this, is the paint is not dry when it hits the model, and then the air from your airbrush is just pushing it around. So you're basically just like pushing wet paint around. Because like you cannot do anything when it's in that state, right? So you have to do like a super thin down base coat, like super clean, and then wait for it to dry entirely and then start again. So that's really not great. Because now just if we want to do the leg right now, we can't, just because it's filled with wet paint. And if we spray whatever's in this, even if it's a good mix now, it's not gonna work. It's just gonna push the paint that was already on there. Thin down paint, a lot in there. So we have to kind of empty that to get to the... Alright. So we're going to make kind of quick work here of this, because it's basically what we want is just like opaque black. I'm still doing the entire miniature just because I want this color of black and not the primer color. So I kind of like this. I don't think there's much plastic left showing through, maybe here. Alright, so this is working. And now we're just gonna, so you can see I didn't clean it up, there's some left over in there. Then we're just gonna add our Stegadon scale green right in this. I don't know, a little bit of that thinner, a good mix. Bluish grayish color. Oh, there we go. So now we see the difference. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna just go at like a 45-degree angle, and we're gonna spray our entire marine that way. So what that will do is all of the top of the marine will be this funky color, and all of the bottom is gonna be black. So you can do this with like not as much blue in it. Do it with like even gray or something like that, or a charcoal color. It would all be interesting. I just like this little kind of bluish color. We'll make something nice to the Iron Hands, because they're not the most like colorful chapter. So now we can go more than 45. So now we're going to do like from the top down, just to make sure that we hit kind of everywhere. What's important is not to go under 45, right? So we never want to just like turn that way to be less than that 45-degree angle. We are going to add some white to this. So we're not, again, not dumping this, not anything. So, and if you're doing like an army, if you want to do an army of these guys, you need to do it like all in one go with the airbrush, or save these into a different... So if you don't want to mix, which, you know, is probably a smart choice, this looks a lot like a Thunderhawk color, or Thunderhawk blue, or Thunderhawk gray. You could just do like black, this guy, and then Thunderhawk, and never mix and clean every time. So if you want to do a full army, that's probably the best play, because then mixing colors is a bitch when it comes to armies, because you have to get back to the same color. So we're going to go from the top down to begin with, and we're going to try to aim at this little shoulder plate, and then we're going to move our way from there. All right, so now we got like a good, pretty freaking good contrast from, you know, like if we look from under, we got like the super dark. Now from up top, we got the super light. So I kind of like this, and because then we can bring it back and we can highlight it even more. We could just do black lining if we wanted. We could kind of just black line and then re-highlight our entire little dude, or we could leave it as is. I mean, this looks kind of fine. We can just maybe highlight it, leave it like that, highlight it, and then be done with it. So maybe we just do a couple of edge highlights here and there. I'm not going to do the entire fucking thing, because that, first of all, that will be ugly. And second of all, it's going to take like a million years. What I like here, and that's like the, we're gonna call it like the Kenny style of highlights, is whenever super light touches super dark is where you want to highlight. So right next to the dark spot, you want to get that crisp highlight. That Kenny does that, and now a lot of people are doing it, but Kenny was one of the first one to start doing that, and it's really it makes everything a lot more vibrant. So I kind of dig that look. Like if you're painting an army and everything, you don't have to do this step right now. You could just like kind of finish your guy and then come back at the very end and do this. You know, once you have like your whole entire army, 3-color or like battle ready or whatever, and then kind of come back. Every single thing here, so I'm swinging around. I love the handle for this, by the way. And then just kind of try our best to do the line here. Well, shit, look at that. We tried our best and it kind of worked out. Oh, so now you see, this is like a nasty one. I don't know if you can tell, but the chainsword is not like a flat square. It's like, it's got like two little angles. So it's really nasty to kind of try to do an edge highlight, because there's like two places where it would fall. So I think we're just gonna kind of lazy our way out here and just do the front here. And I say lazy, but it's kind of actually smart. It is lazy because like we could do it on the other side and then blah blah, but it's really hard and it's pretty easy to mess up. So in my mind, it's also the stupid way. The not lazy way is also the stupid way. So which one do you guys feel? That Belcher gunmill, they're almost the same, right? So now maybe a smart play would have been to do the face right now, just because it's like kind of deep in there and there's like a bunch of silver details on there. Good, I got this one as well. There we go. This is Bugman's Glow, and it's the best one. Again, chat, if you're here, chat, I'm gonna need your input on this. What do you guys want to see? Because at this point, we can do either one color and do it fully and then move on to the next color and everything. Or we can do the kind of the army process, to put it that way, and then just do color blocking. So we're going to do a base coat on everything, and then we're going to highlight one thing. And then we're going to shade. And so do you guys want to see one color to completion? Or do you guys want to see the normal kind of full process? We're going to do a base coat on the skin, because that doesn't really matter. We should do it now. It's the only smart play here. Maybe we do the little eagle thingy, we do it in white, because the chapter symbol is kind of white as well. Maybe we do it silver. I like silver. Like, I wouldn't do it gold, but silver or white would work here. And I feel like if you do it like red or green, it's going to be mistaken for a Black Templar or a Dark Angel real fast. And that's kind of my issue. That's why I went with silver, is just because I want to make sure they're Iron Hands and not Raven Guard looking, which is always kind of the little challenge. Love this. So now I want to avoid the bulk of the chainsaw. I think maybe we do, what's it called? Azure stripes on them. I think that looks nice. I think it fits nicely with the with Iron Hands. Like, they have very limited patterns, but I could see them doing that. Like a rank. So I'm gonna have to Google that here. So this hand here should not be silver. It's like a cool, cute rule, but you never get to use it as much as... Like, if your guy is, like, farting mortal wounds on your enemy, better make sure that thing is dead and there's no, like, other unit, because that guy is not living. So now this is the tricky one here, because it needs to be, you know, painted from the front, but you also don't want to fuck things up. Alright. Oh, really? Cool. You guys have the final squad. Oh, that's really, really neat. Steel Legion drab and do the scroll and the little pouch the same color. That's actually pretty smart. Same thing with this little seal. I don't think it's worth it painting it red unless it's like a very dark, muted red, because they will stick out like a sore thumb. So I think we're going to have to forfeit the little hazard stripe on there because I do not have the yellow here. I don't think it's going to look as bad anyway, so I don't mind at all. We try to venture in the back of this little... because you can see, right? Like the back of the holster is still black. Almost impossible to reach. Okay, there we go. Alright, so now that looks pretty smooth. We're going to give it a second coat just because, you know, negative space here. So instead of having to like write down the text, if we just highlight using little lines, light color, not great. There we go. If you want to do the eyes, you have to make them perfect. Otherwise, just leave them darker than the rest of the model, and that will be fine. So because this is like Sergeant number 26 in our army, we don't really give a shit. We're using Nuln Oil, and we are not using what's called Subtlety. D-Gens. So this is what we got so far. I'm pretty happy with this. So now we do want to highlight this the silver, but we really have to wait now for the wash to dry. We really can't do much. So we're gonna work on a base for our old guy here, and by work on I mean we're gonna check to see if we have one already made. That will save us some time. Otherwise, yeah, we'll make one. Can't even find a fucking name for Mustachio Sergeant over here. Alright, let's not put it that way. I don't want to put it lying down because the silvers on the backpack is gonna... And we're gonna leave... I don't mind this little foot thing because we're gonna put our guy, like, because he's only on one foot, right? So if we put him at the back of the base, like he is now, it gives him a lot more movement and action than if we put him like in the middle or in the front. So we're just going to use this to put the foot of the guy angling forward, so it's not going to show through the final result. But definitely we would need to change the base into something, again, more orangey, and then a lava base would look really nice with it. But they're both decently solid options. Yeah. There we go. So Jerry the goatee is gonna go there. Now this is mostly dry. We can kind of avoid that little middle spot there, and just like let's get a big ass the fine detailer right there, Mr. Quick Works. So because this is like a second-hand thing, I want to block like this little part here. It's kind of the weaker part of the base because there was something stuck there, like a Necron foot or something. So if we put our marine here, then we can just put like the little tuft of grass on top of... that's what we're going to do. So we're going to put our marine there. Right here, right next to the spot that I said I need to take care of this. Holding on, there we go. You see, now he gets it. You can, you know, add as many or as little as you like. Now these things, it says self-adhesive, but I've never self-adhesive one in my life. I always put a little dab of glue underneath. Is one of the last things that we do, and also because I'm channeling my inner Sean Evans to do this. And it's kind of tradition around here to put a little... Alright, there we go. A little handle for it, just for a quick second. So let's put this guy back on there. Boop. And here we go. Now we have our little Iron Hands little guy, or, you know, custom chapter, what have you.